Hare Krishna, welcome everybody.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna. So Mataji has led the chanting. So we'll start the kirtan and that's today's presentation. 13th chapter. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Mataji, is this visible Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, yes, it is visible and you are audible.
Chapter 13, Kshetra Kshetragna Vibhaga Yoga. So we are in the third section of the Gita, the final section of 6 chapters. Yes. If bhakti is the culmination, why is gnana present in the last 6 chapters? I think yesterday itself we talked about that. In truth, the entire Bhagavad Gita is bhakti. In the first 6 chapters discuss how to achieve bhakti through work. The last 6 describe how to achieve it through knowledge. And the middle 6 discuss bhakti itself. Also in the 12th chapters, Krishna explained how he personally delivers his devotee from birth and death. So the last 6 chapters provide the philosophical knowledge necessary to extricate oneself from the material world. Gnana has its use in assisting our detachment from Maya and our attachment to Krishna. Hence, when we use knowledge as a means to attain devotion, it becomes a part of bhakti. So we do not say it's not required. Yes, it is required to help us become firmly fixed up in bhakti. Yes. So the 13th chapter, Arjuna asks 6 questions, rather 6 topics, and Krishna's answer. The first of all, what is Prakriti? Second, what is Purusha? Third, Kshetra. Fourth, Kshetragna. Fifth, Gnana. Sixth, Gnaya. The Lord explains these aspects, starting from third and fourth, Kshetra and Kshetragna. So Arjuna's question: Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the end of knowledge. The blessed Lord then said, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. So this is an analogy given in Vedic scriptures. So the Lord is also explaining this analogy of a field, an agricultural field, and the farmer who is plowing the field. Kshetra, Kshetragna. So just like the field, the agricultural field, the land is different, and the landowner, the farmer, is different. And the landowner is the experiencer. He knows what are the dimensions of the field, the kind of the soil in the field, so many things about the field. The field doesn't know anything. It by itself, it is a dead object, we can say. It is not aware, it is not conscious. But the person owning the field, the farmer, so he knows about the field. So the field worker or the field owner is different, and the land itself is different. So taking that example, Kshetra, Kshetragna, Krishna says, our body is a Sharira. Sharira itself is a Kshetra. So body by itself has no experience, has no feelings of happiness, distress. But the owner of this body, that is the living entity, the soul, the Atma, myself, me. So I am experiencing the body. So Krishna makes a nice analogy example, saying the field is different, the owner of the field is different. Similarly, Kshetra is different, Kshetragna is different. Kshetragnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetragnayo gnanam yattad gnanam matam mama. O son of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower of all bodies. And to understand this body and its owner is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So not only the Lord is saying about Jivatma, the individual living entity, and the body which we possess in our conditioned life, the Lord is also saying himself as the super knower, as the supreme knower of everything. Just like in the country, the government as a department, the revenue department or whatever, so they know the whole thing about different locations of the maps. They are the maps of all the lands, of the things going on in the land, whether there is a building or there is some farming and what kind of farming. So they know everything about the land. So they have the records kept for that. And they are the original owners, basically, in one way. Whenever they want, they can, on some pretext, they can even take away the land and reallot the land somewhere to the owner. Something they can do. They have so many powers. So Krishna is telling, he similarly is the actual super owner. He is the owner, he is knower, rather super knower of all the fields. It's just like I am the single owner, the single farmer is aware of his field. He is not aware of the neighboring field. So I do not know what is the thinking, feeling of any of you. I am only aware of some of my mental faculties, some of my bodily activities. So I am limited in my understanding about this body. So Krishna says, as a super knower, as a supreme knower of all the fields, he knows everything. He knows everybody, all the bodies, all the living entities, what are they thinking, what are their feelings, what are their kind of bodily activities going on. I myself do not know completely about my bodily activities, how I am digesting, how my blood is carrying my digested food, how my lungs are working, how my brain is working, how my heart is working. I have no understanding, I have no control over them. But Krishna, being a super knower, being a supreme knower, he says here, I am also one more knower. Kshetragnam cha api mam vidhi. So he says, I know everything. So how he knows? Because Krishna is present in every one of us as the Paramatma. So not only is present in, not only we are there in this body, but Krishna is also there as one more knower, as one more Atma called the Paramatma. So that is what Krishna is very clearly saying in this verse. So this is showing the supreme position of the Lord and our subordinate position to him. So we are always part and parcel of the Lord. We are subordinate to the Lord. We are not the supreme owners. We are not the supreme knowers. So there is a difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. Very clearly in this verse, this explanation about duality, about the soul and the super soul, Atma and Paramatma, is very clear here. Krishna is saying, Sarva Kshetreshu, I am present in everybody's heart. That is also explained that the Lord is present in the region of the heart along with the Atma. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha mattaha smritir granam apohanam cha. So that is in the 15th chapter. We will see that 2 days later how Krishna is saying that being present in everybody's heart is the person who is giving the memory, who is giving us the intelligence, and who is also the cause of forgetfulness. So that also the Lord says about his existence as Paramatma. Sarvasya chaham. In everybody's heart, I am also present. Like that in the 18th chapter, Krishna says, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudani maya. So there again Krishna says, Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, is present in everybody's heart as a Paramatma, and he is a controller of all the living entities' activities. So as a supreme controller, as a supreme owner, as a supreme knower, the Lord is present within every one of us in this body, along with us. We ourselves are Atma, the Lord is present as Paramatma. So that is very, very clear in this verse. So Krishna says, knowing this, there are two knowers, Atma and Paramatma, in this body is real knowledge, is complete knowledge. So Krishna is telling this. That is my opinion. So different ways Krishna tells what is the knowledge, what is the highest knowledge, what is the most confidential knowledge. So Krishna here is telling about knowing of the Atma. No, everybody knows this Atma, Paramatma. That is that person said to be knowledge. So coming back to what Kshetra is. Kshetra is the agricultural field. Yes, before that, yeah. Rishibir Baudha Gitam Chando Bhe Vividhe Prita Brahma Sutra Padaisheva Hetu Madhir Vinishchithai. So this is Krishna saying that this knowledge regarding Kshetra, Kshetragna, this knowledge regarding Atma, Paramatma, and the body, Sharira. So Krishna says, this I am speaking as per the understanding of Vedanta Sutra. So Vedanta Sutra is the summarization of the Vedic knowledge. Veda. Veda means knowledge. Vedanta means end of knowledge. Veda Anta. So Vedavyasa, when he wrote the Vedanta Sutra, he already actually gave the conclusion of all knowledge, because there are many philosophers always time and again who differ in the standard understanding, who differ in have their own opinion. So Vedavyasa, when he wrote this Vedanta Sutra, all of them became silent. So they all could not put forth any arguments, because all the arguments were defeated. Whatever may be the arguments regarding the understanding of God as a person, God as the para present in everybody's heart as Paramatma, and our position as eternal servants of the Lord. So all this standard understanding, the actual understanding of Vedic scriptures, when Vedavyasa presented in the Vedanta Sutra, with all the arguments, everybody was silent. So many contemporary philosophers, Kannada, who had an atomic theory, they have an atomic theory of, under what we say, that finally everything is atoms in this world. Today's material scientists talk about. So there was one a philosopher in the Vedic times called Kannada. So like that, there are other philosophers, Karma Mimamsa, which was put forth by Jaimini, I think. So they said, karma, our karmas are responsible for our activities. So they say God is also a helpless person. So our own karma we experience, good or bad. So he cannot do anything. He has no special powers. Like that, they have some funny understanding. So like that, different people have different understandings about the philosophy of life. So when Vedavyasa presented this Vedanta Sutra, he actually defeated all those contemporary philosophers of those times, and it was established that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and we are subordinate to him, and our duty is to take his shelter through bhakti. So this is what is Vedanta Sutra, the actual Vedanta Sutra. So Krishna is saying, I am presenting this as per the Vedanta Sutra. Just like any authority always gives the authority of a previous times authority, previous authority. He doesn't say, it is my opinion. Krishna said, it is my opinion. But it is as per the Vedanta Sutra. They don't say, though the Lord can give his opinion is final, but still giving us a perfect way of understanding knowledge. Krishna says this is as per the Vedanta Sutra. This all is explained in the Vedanta Sutra. And the Vedanta Sutra, the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra is Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Brahma Sutra Bhashyam. So we have various acharyas later on, Shankaracharya, who wrote Sharirita Bhashya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, who all, when they put forth their teachings, they all showed how it is as per the Vedanta Sutra. So that is how we accept the acharyas. And but the original Vedanta Sutra, what the Vedavyasa has written, on that the natural commentary, the original commentary by the same author, Vedavyasa, is Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Puran, occupies the topmost position even among the Vedic literatures. Nigama Kalpataro Ghalitam Phalam Idam. So it's a essence of all Vedic scriptures. If you consider Vedic scripture like a mango tree, in that mango tree, we need the ripened mango fruit, and the ripened mango fruit is Bhagavatam. So that's how Bhagavatam is glorified as the summum bonum of everything. Yes. Then Krishna talks about Kshetra. Kshetra is our body, the 5 great elements: false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, aggregate life symptoms and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. So this is also explained in the Vedic times, Vedic as Annamaya, Pranamaya, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Gnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, different levels of consciousness. In the lowest level of consciousness, wherein we strongly identify ourselves with the body, we are just concerned with the bodily maintenance, bodily sustenance, in terms of the food and all that. That is the platform of the consciousness of mostly the animal life. A little higher is Pranamaya, wherein not only we are concerned about the food, one is concerned about his protection. So as human beings, we have the plan, oh, in future, what will happen? So let me keep some money. So let me have some house, nice protection, some security. So many ways we plan our protection. Pranamaya. So further higher consciousness is where Gnanamaya person starts thinking. He starts thinking in the mental level, wherein trying to understand what is this happiness, what is this world, what is. He tries to begin his thinking. So he tends to take pleasure in nature, in poetry, so many things like that. So nature lovers, so many ways. That is Gnanamaya. So more when he advances, he comes to the level of Vijnanamaya. The consciousness comes to the level of Vijnanamaya, wherein one is clearly able to understand, I am not this body, I am the Kshetragna, I am the Jivatma, I am distinct from this Kshetra. So that is Vijnanamaya stage. And furthermore, when one advances, one comes to the original consciousness, the real consciousness of the living entity. I am part and parcel of the Lord. My duty is to serve the Lord in devotion. So my duty is to please the Lord. So that is when the living entity achieves Ananda, the real Ananda, which we are trying for. There is so-called Ananda in Annamaya stage. When we get some food, definitely we feel some satisfaction. Definitely when we get some money, when we have some protection, we feel some kind of but that happiness is the lower level kind of happiness. The real happiness comes when we rise ourselves to this Anandamaya stage, where we understand the position of the Lord, our connection with the Lord, and our real duties in service to the Lord. So that is where we achieve Anandamaya stage. So different levels of consciousness. So that way also it is explained, Anandamaya stage. So this is the stage we have to reach. So Annamaya, Pranamaya is mostly in the field of understanding of, it's also sensual consciousness, mental platform. It's also explained like that. The translation: bodily platform, sensual platform, then mental platform, intellectual platform, and finally the spiritual platform. Yes, this is the Kshetra. This is our body, what is made up of. The 24 elements, different ways it is said. The Sankhya philosophers say the material body, the material world is made up of 24 elements, and Atma is beyond that, and Paramatma is beyond that. 25th is Atma, 26th is Paramatma. So that way, through Sankhya also, the understanding that we are different from this matter, we are different from this Kshetra. So Arjuna's further question was there: what is Gnana and Gneyam? What is knowledge, and what is to be known by this knowledge? Gneyam, object of knowledge, goal of knowledge. So Krishna lists here some 18 to 20 items, saying that this is knowledge, and anything beyond is ignorance. Krishna talks about here that 18 items of knowledge. She's saying that if we practice these 18 items, we will get to real knowledge. The real knowledge that I am not this body, I am spirit soul, and apart from me there is the Supreme Lord as Paramatma, even within this body, and then the Lord finally is the personality, Bhagavan. So this understanding will manifest when we take up these items, which are called items of knowledge. So 18 to 20 items. So Krishna lists here: Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshantirarjavam, Acharyopasanam, Shaucham, Indriya, Stairyam, Atma Vinigraha, Indriyarteshu Vairagyam, Anahankara Evacha, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi, Asat Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam, Asaktirana Vishwangaha, Putradhara Grihadishu, Nityacha Samachittatvam, Ishtanishtopapatishu, Maicha Yogena, Bhaktir Abhyabicharini, Vivikta Desha Sevitvam, Aratir Jana Samsadi, Adhyatma Gnana Nityatvam, Tattva Gnana Darshanam, Etaj Gnanam, Iti Proktam, Atnanam Yadato Anyatha. Yes. So actually, very nice purport Srila Prabhupada has given. So if we can read them, we can take time off and read it, very nice. So it is said of all the different elements, the important element here is Maicha Ananya Yogena Bhaktir Abhyabicharin. So all these items, all these aspects are there to reach us, to take us to the goal of exclusive devotional service to the Lord. So that is the goal. The goal is to become a pure devotee of the Lord. So all these items are given, starting from Amanitvam and Adambitvam. Amanitvam, Adambitvam means pridelessness and humility. So material conception of life makes us feel very special, makes us feel very proud. So that is a normal condition in the material life. So we have to come out of this illusion. So that is how it is explained. Amanitvam, Adambitvam. So we have to practice pridelessness. We have to become humble. So then we follow Ahimsa, Kshanti, Arjavam, straightforwardness, and then Acharya Upasana, worshipping the great Acharyas. So taking their shelter. So that is also an important aspect by which we actually become fit to receive real knowledge. Acharya Upasana, Shaucham, cleanliness. Outside cleanliness, we take a bath, we change clothes, but real cleanliness is cleanliness of the heart. So by chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So Kali Yuga, this is the way for us to become Shaucham, to develop this base by which we can advance further. Stairyam, Atma Vinigraha, so fixed in determination, self-control, mind control. So understanding the miseries of this material world, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. So these are real problems, Janma. So 9 months we are in the mother's womb without any freedom. At 7 months, actually the child gets consciousness. So it is not able to come out. So it really feels great pain. So we do from outside, the doctors have some scientific methods to see what the child, how the child is growing, but they cannot know what the child is thinking, what the child is feeling. But actually it is said at 7 months, the child gets consciousness. It feels very, very uncomfortable. Oh my Lord, again I have come to this world, again I'm in prison, again. And here there are so many, it's complete darkness within the mother's womb, and so much heat, whatever the mother heats, it has a effect on the child. It's tender skin. There are so many small worms which are biting. So that is all described. We have a description in the Bhagavatam, the 3rd canto. So there, the child's position, from the child's position, it is explained how the child is feeling in the mother's womb. And nowadays, there is this way the child may be killed, abortion. So that is also there today. So many ways, Janma is a suffering. And then we come out, there is again suffering. So child doesn't have control over its body. There are some, maybe mosquito is biting. It cannot express itself. It doesn't know the language. So then as it grows, it is, we are sent to school without ever, none of us wanted to go to school, but we are forced to go to school. Now children are very happy. So they don't have to go to school. They can sit at home for 2 years. They're happy like that. But it is a small time. But otherwise, we have to go to school against our wishes. Then after going there, then as a child, so many desires. I want this, I want that. So many hundreds of body and mind is such that whatever we see, we want. So actually, it's suffering, continuously suffering. Then as it grows, as we grow, diseases come. So actually, life is full of suffering. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. There are diseases, there is old age, there is finally death. So death means everything what we have achieved, we have to give it up. And again start from zero. So this way, if we can understand the reality of this material life, this is also considered an item of knowledge. So which will push us to take up spiritual life more and more seriously. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Dosha, Darshana. Krishna certified this world as Dukkhalayam Ashashvata. Just like we buy any machine, the company itself says it's a defective machine. So what we can expect? If it doesn't, if it says we don't give any guarantee, we may say, oh, it's a China product, it is very, very cheap, very, very nice, I'm getting at such a nice cost. But if they don't give you any guarantee, they say maybe it will run for a few years, maybe a few seconds. So if they say like that, how it is. So like that, the Lord himself, as the owner, as the creator of this universe, he says, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. This is a place full of dukkha, full of misery. Actually, we should be expecting every moment, every second, something may turn up, something may come. So that way, actually, we are realistic in this world. Otherwise, if we think this world is a very, very happy place, very, very comfortable place, then we become shocked when we get the miseries in this world. Actually, it's a place of misery. So all around we are seeing people are suffering. So ourselves, we see through our life so many sufferings. So it is suffering. Continuous suffering. The world is life is full of suffering. World is full of suffering. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Doshanu, Darshanam. Asattirana Bishwanga, Putradara, Grihadishu. So nicely, one point Srila Prabhupada makes, Putradara, Grihadishu. So detachment from family, wife, children. So it is not that we don't, we develop detachment, we take sannyas. It's not meaning that. So Srila Prabhupada nicely explains. You can continue in family life if the whole family takes to devotional service. So he gives a nice formula, Srila Prabhupada. 4 things in a family people have to do. What is that 4 things? One is they have to worship the Lord. So we have to have a system wherein everybody takes part in praying to the Lord. The best is to have a deity, but it may not be immediately possible. But at least in the puja room, the photo of the Lord, wherein everybody join together and worship the Lord. Then we offer nice foodstuffs to the Lord and take that prasadam. So that way we get purified. So taking prasadam, worshipping the Lord, then chanting the Lord's names, all the family members, they get together and chant japa, or we chant sankirtan with instruments. So nice singing with clapping or whatever, if we have some instruments. So, and then that's a family which stays together, that stays together. So chanting, by worshipping the Lord, by taking prasadam of the Lord, and discussing these aspects of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So if we can mold our family life, the whole family are interested in this, there is no need to give up family life to take up renounced life. So nicely, Acharya gives a formula how a family life can be made into a nice, happy life. Anyway, so next, so Vivikta Desha Sevitvam, Arachi Jana Samsadi, Adhyatmika Gnana Nityatvam. So all these different aspects. So if we follow, then it is possible for us to understand I am not this body and spirit. So we can become fixed up in that understanding. We can realize this truth and then understand, yes, also the Lord is present with me as Paramatma, and then we surrender to him, we take his shelter. So that's why it is called 18 or aspect items of knowledge. And Krishna finally says, besides this, all these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. So as a supreme master, as a supreme authority, Lord says. So we have to check how much is knowledge in our day-to-day schools, colleges, what we are learning. So if we, by studying in the schools and colleges, if we can follow these things, what is listed here, humility, prideless, but many times it is so that we become unnecessarily proud. Instead of becoming humble, to become proud. So it is becoming disqualification to attain to real knowledge. So that if that is happening, we can say they are all not places of learning, they are all places of ignorance. We have to say like that. So we have to see whether we are actually the training centers of knowledge are giving us these divine qualities. So it's not only the technical or the skill or the art one learns, but it is the qualities one develops. That is the most important thing. So there is IQ, there is EQ, SQ, like that it is said. But generally the knowledge today in the schools, colleges is IQ, but there is nothing of EQ and nothing of SQ, the spiritual value, the spiritual system with no understanding. So it has to be properly understood, and knowledge, the real knowledge has to be taken, which will really benefit us. Yes, so this is a brief summary of the chart. What is this humility? Not to be anxious, to have satisfaction of being honored. Pridelessness, understanding you are not the body, and thus honor and dishonor are the same. Non-violence, unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. Tolerance, be practiced here to bear insult and dishonor from others. Simplicity, so straightforward that you can disclose the truth even to an enemy. Accepting a spiritual master, yes, this is essential. Cleanliness, bathing external, chanting internal. Steadiness, determined to make progress in spiritual life. Self-control, reject anything unfavorable to spiritual advancement, controlling the senses. Renunciation of sense objects, not to cater to unnecessary demands, gratified only to keep body fit for spiritual life. Absence of false ego, reject I am this body or mind and accept that I am Krishna's servant. Perceptions of evil, regularly hear about these from the proper source, become disgusted with material life. Detachment, be ready to sacrifice everything for Krishna. No entanglement with wife, children, family, etc. Should practice it if you can do it in a Krishna conscious way, but renounce it if unfavorable for development of Krishna consciousness. Even-mindedness, not elated or distressed at material gain or loss by performing unbreakable devotional service. Then unalloyed devotional service means engaging oneself in the 9 processes of bhakti. And Vivikta Desha Sevitvam means not desiring to mix with materialistic people. Live in the association of devotees. So we live in a society wherein mostly people are non-devotees. So we have to be deal with them. We have to be friendly with them. But at the same time, we should not give our heart to them. So it's the art which we develop of association, of how to deal officially. But otherwise, our heart is for Krishna, heart is with the devotees. So that is what we have to practice. We have to cultivate. Asat Sangatyaga Ei Vaishnava Achara. So that is the Lord Chaitanya's teaching that we should give company of asat, who are interested in material life, who have no spiritual vision or no spiritual understanding. So we have to give up. So then only it is possible for us to achieve the goal of life. Yes. I shall now explain the noble, knowing which you will taste the eternal Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So the goal of knowledge, after for practicing these items of knowledge, we come to understanding the Lord, the position of the Lord, the Lord's activities, our relationship with the Lord. Paramatma, first of all, we understand the Paramatma. So the Lord is giving the understanding about the Lord, His existence, Paramatma. Sarvendriya gunabhasam sarvendriya vivarjitam asattam sarvabrachaiva nirgunam gunabhoktricha. The super soul is the original source of all the senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature and at the same time is the master of all modes of material nature. Actually, these all seem to be contradictory. How it is it? Once it is here, it is said he is without senses. But then he is the original source of all the senses. When it is said he is without the senses, he is without material senses. Like we have the material senses, my eye, it can only see certain objects. The eye has a certain way of perceiving objects, the ear has a certain way. So everything is limited. Materially, it is limited. So Krishna doesn't have this kind of eyes. The Lord's eyes are spiritual, the Lord's eyes are transcendental. So he can see anything, he can hear anything. That's how his eyes are material eyes. It is spiritual. His whole embodiment, his whole body, his whole existence is spiritual. It's nothing of matter. Matter means there are limitations, there are conditions. So his existence is unconditional. So that is what it meant when it is said he has no material, sarvendra vivarjitam. He has no material senses. Just like it is, he has no material form, he has no material qualities. Nirgunam gunabhoktricha, without qualities, but is the enjoyer of the modes. Gunabhokta, nirguna gunabhokta. So that means he is the owner, he is the proprietor. So he doesn't take part in the so-called enjoyment of this world. For us, it's very, very nice, this world, but for Krishna, this is matter, this is dull matter. He knows the actual value of this world. So the Lord enjoys spiritually. He doesn't enjoy anything material. He's not enjoying under illusion. He's enjoying real happiness spiritually. Atma Rama is self-satisfied. So this has to be understood. The supreme truth exists both internally and externally, in the moving and non-moving. Is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. So this is how it is said. It is explained. The Lord is far, far, but is near. As Paramatma is the nearest, along with each one of us as Atma, the nearest friend. Surudam Sarvabhutana. So Krishna said, I am the best well-wishing friend. So Krishna is there as Paramatma, very nearly with us. So, but still is far, far away. In his original form as Krishna, is Goloka Vrindavana, the spiritual world, it is very, very far away. We cannot even reach there. We don't know the length and breadth of this one Brahmanda. There are trillions of material universes. Beyond that is Mahavishnu. Beyond that is Vaikuntha Lokas. Even beyond is Goloka. So it's very, very far. Goloka even Yosakyakilatma. Yes, and it is said, though so far, he can accept all our offerings. It is said like that. Statements are there in the scriptures. He has no eyes, but he can see everything. Pashyati achakshu. He has no ears, but he can hear everything. So these statements are there in scriptures to help us understand his senses are not material. So seeing means eyes should be there, but his eyes are not material eyes. That is why it is said, he has no eyes, but he sees everything. He has no ears, but he hears everything. He has no hands, but he can accept everything. He has no legs, but he can travel faster than anybody. So like this, these statements are there in the scriptures to make us understand that the Lord's body is not material. His body is spiritual. He has a body, his form, but it is spiritual form. First of all, to make us get out of the understanding that he is ordinary person, because people see, oh, Krishna also took birth, oh, Krishna also had father and mother, Krishna, so many things. When we hear Krishna's history like that, they think he is also a person like us. No, just to make us understand, is a completely transcendental person, his existence is completely spiritual. These things are explained in this way in the Vedic scriptures. The supreme truth exists both internally and externally. Okay, yes, we read this already. So this is an instance. Anybody can say what is this instance? It's a very nice instance. Anybody can raise their hand and try to explain what is this instance. The photo, for the picture, what we are seeing now. Okay, any try? Who is the person? Who is the small child here? There seems to be a child. Lakshmi Mataji. Yes, Mataji, you can unmute.
This is the story of Parikshit.
Yes, Mataji. So what is happening here?
Parikshit, after the war was over, when Ashwathama released the Pashupastra, or the arrow,
Brahmastra, the Brahmastra. Yes.
Brahmastra, he released the arrow, but he directed it in Uttara's womb. So Lord Krishna then after cursing Ashwathama that he would never die, he placed himself in Uttara's womb, protecting him from the arrow.
Yeah. So this is where when Uttara approached Krishna, all the Pandavas were there. So they immediately were just thinking how to respond. But the Lord, he was there. They were seeing Krishna is there outside. But being outside, Krishna also simultaneously entered Uttara's womb and protected the child, Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was just a baby. So the Lord is surrounded the womb, and then with his Sudarshana is neutralizing the Brahmastra. So that's what we are seeing. That's how Parikshit Maharaj, he saw the Lord even within his mother's womb. And then when he came out of his mother's womb, he was always looking here and there. Who is the personality whom I saw? So he was doing testing. Pariksha means testing. So whether this is the person whom I saw, whether that is the person I'm seeing, he was always seeing with the, because once he got the darshan of the Lord within the mother's womb, he could not forget it. The Lord is so beautiful, the Lord is so attractive. So once having seen him, so one cannot forget. So that's how the Lord, the child's name later as Parikshit became the Emperor Parikshit Maharaj. So here the instance where the Lord is outside also, everybody is seeing, all the Pandavas, but Krishna also entered inside and protected Parikshit Maharaj. So he's outside, he's inside, he's everywhere, every atom, everywhere Krishna is present. Thanks, Mataji. Hare Krishna. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. His knowledge, his object of knowledge, his goal of knowledge is situated in everyone's heart. Thus, the field of activity is the body, knowledge, and the noble have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain my nature. So very nice, Krishna is telling here. So this understanding about Kshetra, Kshetragna, Gnana, Gneya, the four things thus far Krishna has spoken in this chapter. Krishna says, I have explained summarily, and this can be understood by my devotees. So Krishna gives the devotees the knowledge. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. So 10th chapter also we heard in the 4 essential verses of Gita. Krishna said, somebody engage in devotional service, I give the knowledge to him. So Krishna is saying here, my devotee can understand everything perfectly. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. The transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. So coming to other 2 questions about Prakriti and Purusha. Arjuna had asked in this chapter, what is Prakriti, what is Purusha? So Krishna is telling, both are eternal. Eternal means they're always there. Material world, though it is going in cycles of creation, maintenance, destruction, it is again recreated. So it is going on and on and on. So that's why it said both are beginningless. Even Prakriti refers to material nature, and Purusha refers to one Purusha is living entities, ourself, Jivatma. So we were also called as Kshetragna, the knower of the field. Now Krishna is describing us as Purusha. Purusha means the enjoyer. Prakriti means enjoyed. That is also one more meaning. And Prakriti means predominated. Purusha means predominator. So that way. So Krishna is explaining both are eternal, but the activities, the feelings of happiness, distress, All this, how it is happening, Krishna will explain now. How the transmigration of the soul is happening, the Lord will say. The body is undergoing so many changes by the sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna, and material world is in constant flux. It is not a constant, it's not a static thing. There is some creation, there is some growth, there is some maintenance, there is dwindling, and finally destruction. It is said 6 changes matter goes forward: birth, growth, maintenance, produces some byproducts, dwindles, and gets destroyed. Shadvikara, it is said. That is how any material thing goes through. Karya karana kartrutve hetu prakriti ruchyate purusha sukha dukkhanam bhoktrutve hetu ruchyate. Nature is said to be the cause of all material activities and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. So by nature's way, so many changes are happening in this world. But the feelings of happiness, distress, that is due to ourselves. The living entities, we desire to be put into certain circumstances. We deserve to be put into circumstances. One is we desire, another thing is we deserve. So by this, our actions, the reactions keep happening, and there are so many things happening. So Krishna explains here about it's not that material nature is doing it. Material nature is doing it. The cause is finally ourselves, the jiva, the living entity, who deserves to be put into certain body to enjoy, to suffer. Just like if I live in my life today fit to get a body of a pig, I do not use the human life properly. So next life I'll be given the body of a pig, or I'll be given the body of a dog, I'll be given the body of a tree. So, and then the corresponding happiness and distress, what we get in the body of a pig, how the body behaves, how the body acts, it's all working on the material nature. But the real source, real cause is myself for having been put into that body. And the corresponding happiness, suffering, I suffer, I myself am the cause. Though it looks like the material energy, by the material nature, the body I have got, I'm experiencing such happiness and distress. The root cause is myself. So Krishna is telling here, Karya Karana, finally the cause is the living entity. Though it appears that material nature is doing it, is giving rise to such a situation, is giving rise to such a thing. No, the root cause is the living entity himself. Purusha prakritisto hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam gunasangosya sadasadyoni janmasu. So this actually explains reincarnation, transmigration of the soul, what different kinds of bodies we get. Karanam gunasangosya sadasadyoni janmasu. This prakriti is made of the 3 modes, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So when we forget our relationship with the Lord, when we come to this world with the propensity to enjoy, the propensity to be the owners, masters, controllers. So the material nature being created by the Lord as these 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. So in contact with these material modes, we act in a particular way, and we correspondingly get our different bodies. Karanam, what is the karana? Gunasango asya, our particular association, how we cultivate with the sattva guna, with the rajo guna, with the tamo guna. So Krishna will further as the chapters progresses, 14, 15, 16, 17, this 18, this understanding of the modes is more in detail. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the 3 modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. So we get different forms of life, 84 lakhs of species, depending on the association of the modes. We are cultivating more and more in Sattva-guna, we can get more and more higher forms of life, the Devata, the spirit, Devata's body, higher living entities. We cultivate Rajoguna, either a human life, or we go down into animal species. We cultivate Tamoguna, we can even go to the level of plants, trees, the life like that. So it is due to our association with the modes. Karanam Gunasango Asya. Upadrishta Anumantha cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha Paramatmeti Chapyukto Dehe Asmin Purusha Para. So Krishna now talks about, just like when Krishna talked about Kshetragna and Kshetra, he said Jiva living entity Kshetra is different from Kshetragna. He talked about the Lord himself as a superknower, another Kshetragna. Again here Krishna is telling, in the Purusha, there is one more Purusha. He is Upadrishta and Anumanta. Upadrishta means he is a witness, he is seeing, overseer. And there is Anumanta means is sanctioning. Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha is the supreme enjoyer, is the supreme proprietor. Is Paramatmeti Chapit is also called Paramatma. And is the Uttama, is the Para. There is one more Para Purusha. So the Lord is explaining about his existence as Paramatma. He can also be called as a Purusha. And is the real Purusha. Is the real Purusha. We have subordinate Purusha as living entities. So Krishna is giving the explanation, understanding. Is also called Purusha. The Lord is also called Purusha. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So the understanding, the knowledge is so great, just like light will drive away all the darkness. So the real knowledge will drive away all our ignorance, all our so many unnecessary attachments, so many things. It's all due to ignorance. So the real knowledge, when we understand how we are stuck up within this body and how we have to extricate ourselves with this body, the methodology, what we have to adopt to come out of this body. So Krishna is telling, regardless of one's present position, whatever may be one's present position, he will achieve complete perfection. He will achieve the Lord. Some perceive the soul within themselves through meditation. Some others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. So Krishna is talking about the different methods of karma yoga, gnana yoga, dhyana yoga, the different aspects of spiritual practice, which should finally come to the understanding of soul, of super soul, of atma, of paramatma, of the modes of nature, of getting out of this. So there are all different ways to come to this knowledge. But then Krishna says here, again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of the tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. So here, this is very, very practical, particularly for this time, what we tell the time of Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga, we are not big scholars, big philosophers with so much of thinking, with so much of possibility of doing tapasya. We are not yogis. Previous ages, people had a different kind of body, different kind of intelligence, very, very capable. But now, Kali Yuga, we hardly have such, we have our short lifespan. Our body strength is less. Our mental capacities are less. Our intellectual, everything, every way we are incapacitated, it is said. So the most practical thing in Kali Yuga is to hear about the Lord. Not just hearing from anybody, but hear from an authorized source. In fact, Brahma also recommends in the Bhagavatam this process of hearing, Shravanam. Shravanam is one of the very important elements of bhakti. But Shravanam about whom? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, about the Lord. So we have to hear about the Lord, and from the authorized persons we have to hear. Bhagavata Paragya Bhagavata Sthane. From unauthorized persons, when we hear, there is no use. So in the parampara, in the way it is given in the scriptures, we hear. Just by that process, we will come to understand everything. In fact, Lord Brahma says there, just remain where you are. He says very nicely, Gnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva. So he says, give up this independent pursuit of knowledge. Sometimes we think by my own endeavor, by my own capacity, by my own intellectual strength, I will understand everything. So our Brahma says, give it up. Grane prayasam udapasya namanta eva. And he says, become humble. Humility is very important. We also saw as one of the items of knowledge. So Brahma tells us we have to become humble. So then how do we receive knowledge? He says, sthani sthita. You remain where you are. Doesn't matter. You are a householder. You are a brahmachari. You are a sannyasi. You are a whatever family man. You are doctor, engineer. You are lawyer. You are teacher. You are worker. Whatever. He says, wherever you are, you remain. Then he says, but sthane sthita shrutigatam tanuvam manobir. He says, you hear about the Lord with your mind, with your words. He says, completely dedicated to this process of hearing, Shravana. Just like we are reading Bhagavad Gita. If we just submit ourselves to reading this Bhagavad Gita, one book, that is sufficient. So he says, hear from pure source, from authorized source. So he says, Grane prayasam udapasya namanta eva sammukaritam bodhiya vartam. Sammukaritam. Somebody who is fixed up in the understanding of the Lord. Sat, the Lord is the perfect absolute truth. So somebody is fixed up, just like we are hearing from Srila Prabhupada. The Acharya is giving us correct understanding through the beautiful purports. So through under his shelter, we are understanding. Sammukarita Bhavadiya Varta, about the Lord, Varta, the message of the Lord. So he says, Ye Prayasha Ajitopi Jita Trilokyam. Just by this attempt of hearing, the Lord who is called Ajita, the Lord who is unconquerable, becomes Jita, he becomes conquerable. So that is the supreme process of bhakti, starting from Shravanam from the opera, from the about the Lord, the message of the Lord from a authorized source. So that will take care of everything. So that Krishna is recommending this in this verse. O chief of the Bharatas, whatever you see in existence, both moving and non-moving, is only the combination of the field of activities in the node of the field, Kshetra and Kshetragna. So Krishna gives a summary. The whole world is nothing but, we see so many living entities, nothing but Kshetra and Kshetragna. There is Jivatma and there is the Kshetra, the material nature. So we see big mountains, big wall, so many things we see. Finally, it is Kshetra and Kshetragna. That's all. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatsu aminashyantam yah pashyati sa pashyati. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul is ever destroyed, actually sees. So the soul, there is no birth, there is no death, it is eternal. What is getting destroyed, what is getting changed is the material energy, material nature. But spirit soul, Atma has no change like that. One who sees the super soul present everywhere, in every living being, does not degrade himself by this mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. Yes, Krishna is there in everybody's heart, the Paramatma is there. The supreme controller, the supreme well-wisher, supreme proprietor. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. So under the control of material nature, we have put ourselves into one kind of material nature. So that pushes us to do something in that way. Just like an infection, one gets an infection. So depending on the infection, the severity of the infection, one will act. If it is the very severe malaria or whatever, some infection, so he is coughing, he is having severe headache, high fever, and so many things. Or if he is not so much severely affected, some symptoms. Or if he is very lightly affected, even little less symptoms. So depending on the infection of this material energy, material modes, we tend to act. So it's finally the material nature which is forcing us to act in this material world. As spirit soul, we have only one thing. We exclusively do devotional service to Krishna. So having forgotten that connection, we are doing so many things under the influence of material nature. The sky due to its subtle nature does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all the universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. So Krishna is taking the analogy of the sun illuminating the universe. Similarly, the consciousness, what we display through our life, is due to ourself as Atma. So without that, the body is useless. It cannot display any consciousness. It cannot display any activity. It cannot display any feelings of happiness, distress. It is a dead machine. So material energy is different. We ourselves, the spirit soul, we are different. One who knowingly sees this difference between the body and the owner of the body and can understand the process of liberation from this bondage also attains to a supreme goal. So the chapter 16, Kshetra Vibhava Yoga. First of all, Arjuna's 6 questions, then the Lord's answers. First of all, Kshetra, Kshetragna, then Gnana and Gneya. Then finally, Prakriti, Purusha, and one with this real knowledge, this understanding, this aspects what Krishna said. So he will and not have to take birth again. He'll achieve the spiritual world. So this chapter onwards, this is said to be part of the Grana Yoga section of the Bhagavad Gita, 13 to 18. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everybody. Any questions or any comments devotees have? Yes.